What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. You already know what it is. Today we're actually going to be talking about and also going through the steps of the installation process for Need for Speed Most Wanted Revamp V2 by Assassin's Tales. Before we actually get started into the video, just a full disclaimer that when you download this particular game and if you go through any issues, any errors in particular, those errors are obviously going to be not on you, but there's no way to really fix it. V2 was finalized, and there's nothing much to really do for it. But again, you know, with this particular mod, I mean, it's fantastic. Who doesn't want to play Need for Speed Most Wanted Revamp in 2026? There's a ton of cars, 108 cars, and each of these particular cars have so much different forms of customization between the body kits, between the spoilers, between the wheels, the liveries, the just everything. I can't even list them all because there's just a bunch of unique features about this particular V2 mod, which makes it amazing. And you know, one of the things that actually makes this mod very fun to play is just the variety of new content in it. It just seems like a compilation of a bunch of mods in one. And here we're actually going to teach you how to be able to install it so you can also enjoy Need for Speed Most Wanted Revamp V2. Also, to actually keep in mind, because I really wanted to put this in my last video a bit earlier, make sure you guys subscribe to Assassin's Tales. He's the maker of this particular mod. We're trying to push him to 1K. He definitely deserves it. He definitely deserves to be appreciated way more over the standard limit for his work. He's an amazing content creator and he is very crafty. So be sure to do so. But other than that, let's get started. So what you're going to want to do first is actually go to this particular link that I will be providing in the description of the video. This is the Revamp V2. When you have downloaded this, you'll be prompted to this next screen. So what we're seeing here is Need for Speed Most Wanted Revamp downloaded. Once you have it in the downloads, you're either going to go here and extract files and choose the destination, or, which most likely I do this myself, I open it and then I drag it to the desktop. So once you drag it to the desktop and once it's completed, you'll go to the next step of this video. So as you can see, I actually have it here, and I'm gonna just open it. Obviously, if you see all of this here, that means that you have successfully extracted all the files, including the folder. But before we actually get into this part of the video, which is the settings, because this is for some people who obviously want to be using their monitor's resolution. So you're going to go to scripts. You're going to go to the configuration of NFS Most Wanted Widescreen. Then you're going to set Res X and Res Y to your monitor's resolution. And then you're obviously going to go to miscellaneous and go to window mode. And normally I have it to 3 because I kind of like to see, you know, what's going on my PC and I have a bit of control considering that my Windows button doesn't work. But for other users, you could either choose between borderless full screen or borderless full screen stretch, which is 4 or 5. I just leave it at 3. And then if you are on a lower GPU, I presume, instead of you keeping the shadow res at 2048, you're going to set it to 1024 for those who are using a lower end GPU, that is. And then we're going to actually go down to, because there's another important setting here. Actually, no, this is not needed. So basically you would just leave it at that. You don't necessarily have to change any other settings, and then you would just go to file and save. Another important thing that you would want to be able to do if the options is not enabled, but I'm assuming if you already downloaded Revamp V3, which is entirely different from this one, you would want to go, instead of extra options, you would go to the graphics. So here, normally you would be able to change it in game and basically have some form of issues where I guess like the game is not responding away or crash and stuff like that. As I explained earlier in the video, there is no type of support or fixes for this because V2 is kind of like finalized, or I should say it is finalized. So the only thing that I would recommend you doing if you do experience those issues is turning off a couple of things. For example, full screen annihilation 0 to 2. You would just put that down to like at least 1, and then shadow detail, you leave that to 0, and then obviously everything else you don't have to really work on or whatever. But the reason why I say full screen and shadow detail is because it's somewhat the most demanding, at least as far as I tested. The other issues that rely on VSync or whatever, having that on obviously would be very helpful to you, as it actually keeps the GPU's temperatures at 47 to 55, so that's pretty good. But if you want to up the ante and turn it off, I mean, that's also fine. But after you're done doing that, you would hit save, get out, and then we'll go to the other step in this particular video. The other thing that you will actually want to go into is the NFS most wanted blur controller settings. So for me, I obviously leave this at default, but if this is too much for you, like the motion blur in the game, you could just press it to 0, which is false. You don't necessarily have to have it on. You can toggle on or off, especially when it comes to like the game's motion blur. So for example, you would change both of these to 0 and then hit save, right? You would hit save there, and then after that, I guess the only other one that I would obviously see that would be very useful in a sense, if you want to get the most out of the game, would be the extra options. So not so much of all of this, but like the last video, you're going to scroll all the way down until you see something called unlock all things. Now if you see this as 0, put it to 1. Force Black Edition, if you see that to 0, put that to 1. And then the other one would be for I guess the default cache, the rewarded cache. You can change this to whatever you're liking. I keep it at like 1 million or whatever, so I have a lot to do in the game, or at least within the story mode. After that's like done, you would pretty much just save and exit there, and we would actually be getting into the game. The more important thing about this particular mod is being able to use all the particular settings. So if you press F1 on your keyboard, you could be able to use the camera toolkit. Now I recommend this for advanced users because maybe you guys will have a bit of an idea of how to be able to use this. Obviously there's a lot more unique and useful tools within this particular toolkit itself, but again, I recommend this for people who are aware and learn how to particularly use this ordeal. Other than the camera toolkit, more importantly enough so, like I shown in the previous part of this video, if you weren't able to understand, go to options. Once you go to options, you go to video and then go to advanced, and in advanced you're gonna turn down the full screen, and then you're gonna turn down the shadow as well too. But keep in mind, by doing this particular setting, you'll have to keep doing this every time you go into the game, whereas if you did it through the files like I did before, you'll have a better chance of being able to keep it permanently. So, oh, another thing too is, before I forget, I recommend this for people who do not want to use anything higher than 60 FPS, 90 FPS, 120 FPS if you're experiencing those problems. What I recommend is that you right click on your desktop, show more options, and you go to Nvidia control panel. Then after you go to Nvidia control panel, this would obviously pop up. You would go to manage 3D settings, program settings, right? Obviously this takes a bit of time to load. Then you go to add. Normally you would see speed if you have recently played it on your desktop or whatever. You would normally see the option right away as like it's loading up. But if you don't, obviously we'll browse for it. But this takes a bit of time to load depending on, you know, what your CPU and GPU is. But basically, obviously as you can see here, I scroll down a little bit, I see speed, I add it. Okay, so the things you're going to be focusing on is max frame rate. So obviously I have this set to 60, so I wouldn't want it running higher. If you have a beefier GPU or CPU, obviously you would go higher, you know, for better, I guess, stability. But with this particular mod, I wouldn't recommend doing that. But it's your choice. I just recommend this to people who are, you know, with a 3060, 2060, 2080, whatever. So we leave it at that. We set the open rendering GPU to our graphics card. And one other important thing that I would recommend is turning threaded optimization off. Because what I realize about this mod is that with this particular mod, what happens is that you tend to experience a lot of tearing, and sometimes the game will force close, and even more so sometimes like the frame rates are not as consistent with threaded optimization on. This could be utilized for a lot of other particular mods or other games or whatever, so I would recommend leaving that off. And then once you leave that off, you would just technically save, and that's about that. I just want to give a big shout out again to Assassin's Tales for actually allowing me to enjoy this particular mod, and hopefully whatever I provided within this particular video can also help you to enjoy the mod to your liking, because that's what's really important, you know. Companies like EA and any other company that produces these racing games are not really doing the diligence to giving us remasters or anything. Instead, they're giving us lackluster products that, you know, just kind of make us feel like we're lost in gaming. So with this particular mod in general, it actually allows us to be able to explore and appreciate a game not only for its value, but because of you know, our childhood. I mean, a lot of us actually grew up in the 90s. We've enjoyed games like Need for Speed High Stakes and so forth, and some of us grew up in a time where Need for Speed Most Wanted was our childhood game, you know. So it's definitely understandable, and you know, we gotta appreciate and show more appreciation to these people who take the time to be able to create these mods for your Setso Need for Speed Carbon or your Most Wanted or your Pro Streets, whichever ones that you actually like or value. You know, it just is fulfilling as somebody who plays a lot of retro games to actually see that. But again, hopefully you guys are actually able to enjoy this particular mod. If you do appreciate this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and again, make sure you guys subscribe to Assassin's Tales. I will be putting his link to his Discord and his YouTube in the description, so that way you guys can be able to show your support to him, because again, all creators that create mods, in my personal opinion, should be appreciated way above, I guess the average, I suppose. And it's not to put them on a pedestal, it's just the fact that they take the time to be able to do this. I mean, you don't see big publishers do that very often anyways. So for people to take their time to even do your Setso RTS projects or so forth, it's, it's gotten to a point that gaming now is a luxury. And it's a luxury for us to be able to enjoy this particular mod together. Again, this is Synergy. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the video. Signing off. Peace out. Take it easy. Have a good day.